on Venezuela in particular, are Maduro's days as president numbered?
I would say, yeah. I think so, yeah.
And this issue of potential land strikes in Venezuela, is that true?
I don't tell you that. I mean, I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but
Okay, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So what you just saw was an interview from Donald Trump on 60 Minutes only 24 hours ago. And tonight we are tracking what could be a turning point for the Caribbean region. The growing risk that the United States may act militarily against Venezuela and how that scenario is unfolding in real time. Before I unpack all of this, I want you to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Thank you to every single one of you as per usual. So let's start with the hard facts as we do here on 10. And then we'll try and map out what these developments mean for us in Trinidad and Tobago and across the wider Caribbean. So I recently saw an interview with an Admiral James G. Stavridis. He's a retired 4-star US Navy admiral. He has now raised his estimate of a US strike on Venezuela from 50% only a few days ago, from 50% to 70%.
The U.S. military has carried out yet another deadly strike on what officials say was a narco-trafficking vessel in the Caribbean. The Defense Department saying that 3 people were killed in the strike. It happened Saturday. This is now the 15th strike like this since the president started the campaign against alleged drug traffickers in early September. And during his interview with 60 Minutes, President Trump said this about whether he is ready to redirect those strikes, expanding them from the sea to the land.
And this issue of potential land strikes in Venezuela, is that true?
I don't tell you that. I mean, I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but I wouldn't be inclined to say that I would do that. But because I don't talk to a reporter about whether or not I'm going to strike.
Joining me right now, CNN senior military analyst Admiral James Stavridis, former Supreme Allied Commander and a partner at the Carlyle Group, an international investment firm. It's great to see you again. So the president now saying in this same interview, he said Maduro's days are numbered. He does hint that hinting at the strike plans now, though not confirming, but we've heard over and over, and you and I have discussed this, that he and those around him have been threatening that this could soon go to be land strikes in Venezuela. I think you told me in the past week when we talked that you see a 50% chance-ish that this becomes a land battle. I mean, what are the odds now today, do you think?
I think it's a 70% chance that we will conduct these strikes, Kate. I think the only limiting factor at this point from a military perspective, the carrier USS Ford is not yet on station. They're headed into the Atlantic. It'll take them 5+ days, maybe 7 to get on station. I think at that point, all the pieces are in place. The Pentagon would say the table is set for strikes. And I think at that point, President Trump has a big decision to make. Final thought, Kate, he probably is not going to at least immediately go after leadership targets. He's probably going to confine these strikes to where the drugs are coming from. So seaports, command and control. He'll tie it to the counter-narcotics campaign. I think he'll then pause, turn to Maduro and say, last exit before the tunnel.
So his probability of a strike on Venezuela has gone up substantially by 20%. His reasoning is a simple one, but a serious one at the same time. The US military buildup in the Caribbean is no longer symbolic. So warships, surveillance aircraft, and special operation units are in place for what Washington labels anti-narcotics. An anti-narcotic mission. It's simply ridiculous. But this clearly, to us, positions the United States for immediate action, military action, if ordered to do so. So here's what the current deployment looks like as of the 4th of November, today, 2025. So right now in the Caribbean seas, we have roughly 8 US Navy warships, 8 US Navy warships for drug boats, and 1 nuclear attack submarine. They are already operating in or near the Caribbean Venezuela theater for drug boats, as our leaders would have us believe. The USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group is already en route, expected to bring 3 escort vessels and more than 4,000 additional personnel. Independent estimates now place the total US personnel in the region at around 10,000 and rising as reinforcements arrive. Now, some experts have argued the US would need around 40 to 50,000 to stage an attack on Venezuela personnel. 40 to 50,000 personnel. Now, on the other side, Russia has stepped up its public support for Nicolás Maduro's government and Venezuela. So it's all ramping up. It's all ramping up here. As you can see, the Kremlin today reaffirmed that it remains in constant contact, unquote, with Caracas, whilst condemning what it calls excessive American buildup. So within the last 24 hours, several defense channels have reported that Russia is preparing to supply Venezuela with advanced weapons, including long-range cruise missiles and new air defense battalions. But I also want to be clear. I also want to be very clear here. These reports are still unverified and have not been confirmed by the official Russian Ministry of Defense. So treat them as claims, not facts. That's all I would say. This is what we are seeing being reported, but it's not been verified by Russia. So what does this all mean for the Caribbean? It's dangerous. To be as blunt and as straightforward as I can, this is dangerous for us in Trinidad and Tobago, hence why I'm here talking about it to you. So when a superpower positions a carrier or a carrier strike group and warships this close to another state, the threshold for military action, well, you can see where this is going. You can see where this is going. So Admiral Stavridis, his 70% estimate is, well, you could say it's not a perception of war. It's essentially a red flag. For our region, that translates to real world consequences. So we know potential US naval or airstrike operations can disrupt trade and energy routes in our region. It's not good for our region. None of this is good for our region. It doesn't take a very smart person to bring this or to tell you this. It's obvious. And if the Russian weapons claim proves correct, the introduction of advanced systems that could turn Venezuela into a proxy conflict zone, essentially, doesn't bode well for us and our region. So here's what I would suggest you look out for next. Here's what you should look out for next. First, it's confirmation of the US carriers group arrival and any public strike orders. 2, hard evidence of Russian arms deliveries. And 3, signs that Venezuela's own forces are mobilizing or closing sea and air space. And finally, any sudden increase, of course, in talks about people escaping Venezuela and moving towards maybe Trinidad and Tobago or elsewhere. So none of this, by the way, means war is inevitable, but the odds of war happening is obviously climbing fast, as I laid it out to you. So remember, when a senior military analyst puts the probability of war at 70%, and then, when you see a sitting president, Donald Trump, say, quote, Maduro's time is up, those are not throwaway comments. Those are signals. So the Caribbean cannot afford to be a spectator as much as our leaders would like us to be. When great power confrontation moves into our waters, it becomes our reality, economically, politically, socially, and of course, militarily. And of course, that's the last thing we need in our waters, but that is what we are facing as we speak. So I can only bring to you what I believe to be facts. Not going to bring to you certainly anything that's going to alarm you or put you in a state of fear. As we know, everything's in God's hand. It's in his or her control, as we know. And that's where we leave it. I can only bring you the best information as I can to keep you up to date and aware of the situation so you can make an informed decision, not to scaremonger, not to worry you, not to stress you. As I say, if you believe that everything's in God's hand, then you shouldn't be overly worried about this. So don't be alarmed by any of this, but keep your ears open, your eyes peeled, and stay locked in to Trinidad Empowerment Network. And I try and bring you the best information that I can here on 10. So continue to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Thank you to each and every single one of you, as per usual. And I'd see you guys on my next video. For now, much love. God bless. Look after each other. Take care. Peace.